Good evening, friend. So, if you have watched my first lecture, then it will be easy to understand this lecture. So now, today, what we are going to discuss about the political theory and growth. Okay, so political theory, growth and evolution. So already in the beginning, we discussed about the political theory. So in this video, what we will going to do? So in this lecture, we will going to explain about the political theory, how this evolved in the West Asian Greeks. So if we say that the political theory evolved in West, means just simply you have to consider the ancient Greek. The West itself is the ancient Greek. We know that the everything is already developed in the ancient Greek, whatever the philosophy, or we can say that the education or the every single word. So in this already what we are going to discuss already the objective of the state to achieve happiness. The what is happening in the earlier in the political theory, it's discussed about the happiness of people itself. So if a state is happy, the people will not going to commit crime. So what we have seen in the New Zealand itself is the current example. The New Zealand government is shutting down their prison because no one is committing crime. And this is already the fact itself. So whatever they have explained in the before Christ, the earlier, Socrates in the also reflecting in this time. So it Seacat said that it's about the happiness, the happy versal it is. If people are happy, they will not going to commit crime. So in this way, it's discussed about the justice, means the justice will survive in the state and people will going to achieve the good life. So that will going to reflect in the thought of Plato and Aristotle. So they have discussed about the origin of a state, what is a state, and what is the power of the state. So basically, if we will going to discuss about the state, the king itself. So both state and king have to discuss in the parallel way. So in the growth and evolution of political theory, we have already characterized this evolution in three different streams. The first is classical, second is modern, and third is contemporary. So what is the already the classical? First we will going to discuss. The classical political theory is, the everything, whatever is the writing of Socrates, Plato, and the Aristotle is considered as a classical political theory. And what this question about, say, as I told you about the people itself, those who are living in the states. As the Socrates were already famous for asking to people why you are happy, what you expect from the state. So these are the questions were asked by the Socrates to every single Plato, and the Socrates and the Plato already the students have the continued the same thing in that some different way, and the Aristotle also having the some different opinion about compared to Plato. So now we are not going to compare, we will going to compare in the other lecture. But what we will going to discuss in this, the classical political theory is about the people belief, the political inspired pursuit, and to establish a rational basis of action. So in this, the everything, the every this expert has discussed about the commonwealth, means the people for every single, means common among the people and partner. So what they have discussed, they discuss about the activity, relationship, and belief as a whole. So activities itself include the ruling, the warfare, education, and religious practices within the state. So what is the activity of the ruler? What is the activity of states? The relationship it's discussed about between the social classes. So ruler and the ruled between the superior and inferior. So why the superior will going to rule the inferior? So this already have discussed, and the belief is about the justice, equality, and natural law. But the justice, equality, and natural law mostly you will going to see in the Aristotle itself. So they have talked about the norms and the the formation of law. So that we'll going to discuss again the repeat in the other lecture. So in this, the importance of classical political theory is what? Its order, or it laid the emphasis to order a balance, equilibrium, and stability and harmony in where? In the state itself. So there will be stability and there will be harmony in the already state, and there will be balance of power. So no one will be already, the king will be happy and the people will be happy. And so that's why all these process already, they had defined in terms of all these words in the conflict, anarchy, instability, and the revolution. So how this will going to change? So the behavior of the already the regime, of course, the change the behavior of their people. So that's why the classical political theory lead the stress comparative studies for supplying a more comprehensive explanation of political phenomena and a wide range of alternative. So you can see that in the classification of political from, they have discussed about the monarchy, aristocracy, democracy, and their variants. So how this will going to, the change the behavior of their people, and how it's also change the norms, principle, law, citizen justice, the everything whatever is related to this classification of political form, that will going to change the nature of the state. So in the perspective of classical political theory, the what the Plato has advocated for an ideal state means, if there will be ideal state means the king will be happy and the people will be happy. Aristotle also said the greatest happiness on the greatest number of people, a state can achieve the best possible so to rule their people. And already Augustine has said the city of God. So this way you can see that. So everywhere the harmony, peace, and the happiness is already mentioned in their words itself. So classical political theory, the projecting the best form of polity and ideal that reveal the boldness and radicalism of classical theory, and is will not going to discuss about the merely utopian and the visionary, the काल्पनिक नहीं discuss करते हैं इसमें. Modern political theory. So in the modern political theory, you will going to easily understand is, the modern nature of the state is always changed. The king behavior towards their people is also changing. So in the modern political theory, the nature of the state is quite changing, because in the all the area the development where is changing. So sometimes, the Roman, and you have already we have discussed the Ottoman Empire, how this Ottoman were powerful, and the earlier were Roman state itself. So this way, the modern political theory is discussed about the, the institutional structure. Within the institutional, how the structure is formulated. It's about the scientific, positive, and empirical, and also behavioral. So they will going to discuss one of the important is was the post behavioral, and the Marxist approach is also included in the modern political theory. So modern political theory is what? It's a beginning in the from the 15th century to 16th century, and what is it's explaining itself the institutional, positive, and empirical behavior of post behavioral trend, and dubbed as a whole classical tradition. So for the very easy to understand, I will going to tell you so you can easily understand what is modern political theory. So modern political theory is thinking, it's work about the present rather than the past. They will not going to see what is happening in the past, but they will going to mostly focus on the past. Based on their historical evidence, they will going to see what are the changes is happening in the present. They are going to discuss about the living being rather than the dull itself, immediate rather than the remote, and the objective rather than subjective. So they have already specific issue rather than the subjective. They analytic rather than the philosophic. They believe in the analyzing rather than the philosophic. You can say that already the Socrates was mostly, you see that the philosophical. And the explanatory rather than descriptive. They are not believing in the explanatory, they describe everything. And the process oriented rather than the purpose oriented. So these are the some of the important point you can easily understand. And the is what the scientific rather than theoretical. So you see that based on the theory, they are proving the scientific already, the scientific rather than theoretical. So they everything prove what is happening, how this thing is happening. So in the idea behind modern political theory to bring Western liberal democratic thought, the Greek was famous for the, the democratic living style. And that democratic living style already is going to popularized among the all countries. And so this is the already idea behind the modern political theory to bring the democratic thought to the every single country. You can see that already what was happened after the Second World War. The United States came to the fore, and for the promotion of democracy in entire world, the United States is still working to promote democracy in the Muslim countries. Most of the Muslim countries, anarchy, totalitarian form of government, or they are not as the United States expects. So that's why United States blame most of the terror activity is going because the Islamic country is not the democratic. So that is already blamed. So we will not going to discuss about the debate about what is the so they here what is the main point in the modern political theory. They want to bring the Western liberal democratic. You have what we have to focus the liberal. Liberal means the people again will going to think for the individual approach. So right, yeah, it's about to right to life. The life is important. So to build the life of every person, to build a science of political objective, empirical, observational, measurable, operational, and value free. So this is the modern political theory. And they are going to test their hypothesis based on the every empirical and the observational, and they will going to measure also. So this is already, to study and regulate human behavior can express in generalization. So and what are the reason behind the changing nature of the human behavior, they will also going to study. So this is also, as I told you, this subjectivity gave the way to the objectivity. If you are not having the subjectivity knowledge, of course, the objective will not going to work. So this way, the subjectivity gives a way to objectivity, and the philosophical interpretation to the analytical explanation. From the philosophy to analytical, and from purpose to procedure, from the descriptive to observational, and normative टू साइंटिफिक फ्रॉम काल्पनिक से लेकर के जो साइंटिफिक तक है. So you can see that easily understand the modern political theory is quite advanced compared to the classical political theory, because they they will going to chase everything through the empirical, through the observational, and even they will going to measure. And this way the fact and value are separated. The value are so arranged, we know that the value are so arranged. If the value will change, of course the result will change. So that's why the value are so arranged and the fact become relevant. So value are to support the fact. Whatever the value we are having, that is for the purpose to what? To support the fact, and substance to form, and theory to energy. Sorry, to already to research. And the status quo of social change. So this is about right now you will see that is what happening from the we started from the already the state. Now the society is coming, the society itself, they are asking for the changing in the society. And this way you can see that the methodology has to self conferences and split and quantitative, the interdisciplinary synthesis to be achieved. And this is way is what it is regarded as more important than either what it was. We are not going to discuss past, but we are discussing here what is present, or what it ought to be or could be. So this way the next slide it will going to more clarification of about the modern political theory is what the modern political theory stand for the Marxist political theory. We can also say that it's dialectical materialistic, or scientific socialist theory. You can see that again the socialist word is coming. And this describe the general law of the motion in the development of all phenomena. So what you have to remember in the modern, you know, it's the about the socialistic theory and the development of whom the people itself. And in this way, you can see that its important lies change through the struggle between the opposite between relation of the production and the productive force with a view to have better mode of production, and that will going to relate with the development from the lower stage to the higher one. This is already Marxist political theory approaches from the capitalist to socialistic and from of socialistic to communistic. So this is already approaches of the modern political theory, and this theory is already the provide a systematic and scientific framework for analyzing and explaining what the social and political changes. So important interpreting the past, understanding the present, and projecting the future. So last one is what? The contemporary political theory. Contemporary means the present one, and you can easily understand what is the present political theory is. That will going to again they will going to explain everything what was happened earlier, the past, and what is the reason behind through their investigation, and ultimately everything is related to politics. And what is the politics itself? About the concept and the principle and the institution. So very Barry already what he said, they study the relation between principle and the institution. So here you will see that the most important is what they are focusing on the institution. So John Rawls also said about what in the a theory of justice is what the contemporary political theory can solve many political problems. So right now they are already saying the present one already will going to solve the every political theory problem or the political problem for how? By combining the classical end with empirical means. So classical end and with empirical means they will going to solve the many political problem. And John also said that empirical analysis and reflection of logical and moral correct coexist in political theory. And one of the expert already this the David Held, the renowned professor, what he said about the contemporary political theory is contemporary political theory will going to attempt to examine the significance of text in their historical context. So they will going to examine the past, what was happened, and it's will going to you see that they is revitalize punarjeevit karna. So revitalize classification of meaning of the key form. What revitalize? The meaning already, the classification of the word itself, the sovereignty, democracy, justice. The meaning of the sovereignty, whatever was in the 16th century after the Treaty of Westphalia, the present sovereignty is different meaning. The UN Charter already once already they presented, the sovereignty is hardly its word on the page itself. The democracy is one of the controversial word. What is democracy? Whatever the democracy is already is in the first world, the democracy is not in the third world. The democracy in the second world is entirely different, and the first world is entirely different, and the third world is entirely different. So this is what the revitalize the classification meaning of the democracy, justice, sovereignty. And this will going to underline the structure of moral political activity again with the what? Again the discourse, examination, and reconstruction. So you can see that the revitalize, reconstruction, again the revitalize is coming for what? Question for the particular political issue. But the contemporary political theory critique of all forms of foundation, either it is postmodernist or the liberal defender. So you will easily understand it is elaborated as a form of systematic model building influence by theoretical, economic, rational choice and game theory. It's aimed to construct formal model of political process. And the last one is what? It has developed an theoretical enterprise of the discipline of political science. As such, it attempts to construct theory on the basis of observation, modest and empirical observation. So again, in the next lecture, we will come with a new topic. If you have liked my video, already please like and share button. You can also subscribe my channel. So if you are having any comment, please write in the comment box. Any question is please welcome. And if you are having any interest or you want to discuss me something, you can also request in the comment box. So I will come with a lecture based on the comment. So thank you so much. Please subscribe my channel. So I will come again with the next video. Thank you so much.